Hey guys, it's Cedar. I have the recording running and I think I've got Thor on. I'm hearing a little bit of static, so I'm hoping that's him with tech.
Can you hear me?
I can, it's perfect. Okay. All right. So, yep, I've got everything running. So I'm going to move over into Lunch and Learn charting. Oh, I have to share my stream. So I have two streams running just in case you guys missed that earlier. I have the Cedar live stream running with the ES execution chart. So we can watch interaction. Actually, we just got front ran underneath anchored VWAP. So watching the anchored VWAP on that chart, but I do have a duplicate or another stream running under this personal account. That's my main account with the charting that I'll be doing for the individual tickers. And they are tickers by request from our members. So they're not tickers that we have brought up individually. Although if we're watching something and we don't have anything else to talk about, we'll bring them up. This is an instruction style charting session. So verbally walking you through what we're doing in analysis in somewhere between 5 to 10 seconds. Sometimes we'll look at a chart and go, nope, on to the next. But we're taking more time than that to really narrate and go through why, so that the newer traders or those newer to using TA are able to learn from that. And actually, I'm going to go start the event as well. That way, pop-up is there. Okay, and it's just in the regular voice channel. Very good. All right, first one we have is HNST, and off the top of my head, I have never seen that, so we'll see what it is, and maybe I have. HNST.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I've heard of it. I've heard it, but I've never looked at this chart.
Oh, the Honesty Company. Yeah, I've drank Honesty. I have never looked at the chart. All right, first thing I see here is that we have earnings coming up Thursday, May 9th. So I have no idea how they do on earnings, but the monthly chart is a thing of beauty. So I'm going to drop some levels in there. All my levels drawn on monthly are done purple. Weekly is done blue, and white is daily and lower time frames. Typically, I won't mark many horizontal lines on less than daily. So let me look at weekly, but I'm going to draw a couple more. So these levels that I'm marking are just overhead targets as far as what we could potentially see. So now coming down into weekly, I'm going to drill in a little bit closer. So confirmed. I want a hold of $3.35 on weekly. I would be looking for that as a back test to interlong. Volume point of control is sitting down at 1.68. It looks unlikely to get back down there. If we wanted to look at this as a very high time frame, inverted head and shoulders, we've got left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And it's not perfectly symmetrical here in the middle, but it's very level. So these two shoulders are really close to the same spot down at 267. Necklines, 437. So looking to see what the interaction is. Holding around that 335 level. Upside targets 598, 5.98, $8.06, $9.56. I actually really like this chart. Good retail representation if you're looking to add something for long-term positioning, I think. And I don't know a lot about the company in general, but this chart right here looks like it's setting up to have some really good potential, even possibly up to like $15. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I like it too. I mean, the whole time you were talking, I was kind of looking at it and getting a better idea on it. It looks like volume came in just recently. It busted out over 3.5, 325 or so, and kind of falling back on profit taking and consolidation. It's holding the bottom trend line. And I'm looking at that wick rejection 4 or 5 days ago. Tells me that the buyers are trying to step in somewhere. To hold it where it's at and probably break out again. I would,
That wick down is actually to the 50-day moving average, so I really like that.
yeah, I mean, I like this chart. I'd want to see it break over. Get going again. I mean, if it waited a couple of days, over $4, I think it starts moving back up again. But I like it. I like the chart. Post what I'm looking at.
Okay, I put the daily and the weekly in there as well. When did that thing IPO?
Yeah, I'm still
Oh, it's
fumbling around
21.
with.
Okay.
I'm still fumbling around with these Yahoo charts. I like the old one better. I can move my cursor around on it a lot faster. So over 4. Over 4 is my call on it. I think it starts moving back up.
Ooh, I'm having to readjust my level just a little bit. 332, not 335. Now, something that's important as we're talking these levels, it's like a 4-point, like a fat highlighter marker. Even though we're using 1 points here to kind of identify the levels, they're not exact. When they are exact, we're like, wow, that's amazing. The idea is in that range, we expect to see responses. So just keep that in mind. It's rarely to the penny, and we're impressed when it is, but it's rarely.
Yeah, it's always an area, especially on SPY when you have so many tickers that are controlling the actual price. How is it possible to nail it to the penny? I get pretty close sometimes, and sometimes I get lucky. But when I'm talking about those levels that I have, it's really a bit of an area. It's really hard to get it to the penny.
Well, there's
Some you can get to the penny because you can just see it. I mean, it just keeps bouncing off a certain price over and over and over again. You know it's going to do it again. So I guess the next one is RVLV.
it's actually AMD. I missed it. My streamer mode keeps turning on because I'm streaming, and it abbreviates the
AMD.
names. Yeah, and I miss it. So I'll let you take AMD.
Although he had RVLV, then no, he posted before that.
Oh,
That's
they're a
fine.
duplicate. Okay, that makes a lot more sense because I'm like, okay? I didn't not get very much sleep last night. Maybe I'm just okay. I feel happier now.
All right. So
RVLV. I'll let
you want to do
use.
RVLV,
Yep.
which is Revolve Group.
I have looked at this ticker before because it's got lines on this chart. Look at that. I still don't know what it is though. Okay, IPO'd June of 2019. I think my comment on this last time was those COVID stocks that have this big jump in here that people just fall in love with. I literally just take a mental line like that, chop the top off of them, and pretend like everything above here doesn't exist. My brain does not want. So people look at this and like, look, we could go back here. If you look back at some of the growth names from like 1999, 2000, some of those took 15 to 20 years to get back, and some of them didn't at all ever. So, and that was my first comment about this chart. So I'll let you, because I don't know if you were here when we did this one, or if it was, anyway, love to see your feedback on it.
Yeah, I don't remember it. I like the chart, but I don't like the chart. It looks like it looks like the chart we just looked at a little bit, like it was trying to find a spot to bounce, and it actually did. I'm looking at a weekly right now, and the weekly, the last 2 weeks is starting to look weaker. But if you go to a daily, You know, the only thing I would do, I'm trying to decide what I want to look at here, or, you know, trying to find something good about it I like, because I kind of like the chart, but it's throwing me off a little bit. I think that, well, it did have that volume. It has some volume at the end of March. And it did go higher highs because we had lower highs all the way back from August, and this is daily. 3 lower highs, and then finally broke out and took out that high a while back in August. And it looks like it's trying to consolidate and make a move up. I would probably wait for this to get above. I'd want to see it hold above 21, and then I think it starts moving up again.
There's a low volume area just below here, $19.62. So it's probably the worst part of the profile that's in there that I think probably needs a little bit more attention when we came down into it. And I'm on the daily. I marked most of my levels were on the weekly, and then I added volume point of control at 1625. So that was the bottom that we formed nicely in there before that gap up, which was an earnings gap up. So taking that into account, the earnings gap is right where that low volume area, the center of it, is. So 50 daily moving average is below us at 1875. I would not be surprised to see us actually come in if we get anywhere near 1965, to actually see us come in with small potential bounces 1923 and 1840. I could probably be a buyer on this if this held on the daily at 1840 and recaptured the 50 daily moving average, which is blue. So on my charts, regardless of what the time frame is, 50 is blue and 10 is turquoise. And those are the Turtle Trader averages for daily. And so a buy of a 50 and a sell of a 10 is if you're looking for a nice, easy swing trading strategy. Those books are actually in our Bull Trades University section, and there's also audiobooks in there if you want to read more about it. But that's the main thing that sticks out to me here is so far we have not come anywhere near the 10 daily move or the 50 daily moving average. But because of that low volume area, because of the earnings gap, I start to get a little bit worried. We've got, okay, yep, 1916 to 1925 range is likely where we continue to hold. If we don't, then I would be a direct buyer at 1763 with a stop on a daily close with confirmation, meaning one day closes underneath 1627 and the next day also does. So it could close one daily underneath and recapture it the next day. I need to dig into it and see what it is. So depending on if it's underrepresented in my portfolio, I might add it to long term, but it's definitely an interesting chart. Just sit on it a little bit and watch what happens in that low volume area from that earnings gap, especially with earnings coming up. Well, now I'm just adding extra fun lines to my chart for no good reason, trying to click earnings. Earnings are May 1st, so we've got 2 weeks out. Okay, I'm going to flip over and I'll post my weekly chart and let you take it. See if there's anything else in there on weekly. Tiny bit of volume at 2045, but yeah. Okay. All right, next one, AMD. Husky loves this one. He calls it the advanced money duplicator. I just rather trade QQQ is my official opinion, but let's see what this chart says. I have not looked at this in quite a while. My guess would be back from the end of 2023 based on the levels that I have here. Okay, so we have a chunk of volume. Let's mark some levels on weekly up here. 176, kind of a range. 176.79 to 178.39. So we'll just call it 177 to 179 in there. That is now overhead resistance. It's actually a fair amount of volume. The next time we have more volume than that is all the way down at $120, which it does move a lot, but interesting to see. We're trying to put in a little volume here at 168.97. If we lose that, there is a small speed bump at 158.95. I'm going to move around some of my lines from a couple months ago, so I'm going to pull 148.73, then 138.70. If we get an overall market sell, this thing has some pretty good potential downside. 136.5 to 139 range would be my higher time frame overall target, something like midsummer, but we have to probably see an overall market pullback along with that, because this thing does run up when it runs up. All-time high is sitting at what, 230 from a month ago. Let me look at daily and then I'll hand it over to you. I'm going to pull off my monthly volume profile so we can see the candles a little bit better. Okay, on daily, we are below the 50, below the 10. That area of volume that I was talking about in the high 170s is above us. So it is even more clearly a short to me right here, with a stop of a close on the daily with confirmation above the 10 moving average. There's not a lot of potential room up there because of that volume. But if we recapture that, and that level happens to be 168, well, no, actually the 10 daily, 176.25. But below the 10 and below the 50 with an inverted head and shoulders. So there's left shoulder, head, neckline, right shoulder. It's not a perfect, this neckline isn't deep. It's a little more on the slant. I prefer them from a textbook perspective to be pretty equal, but AMD doesn't do equal. So that's something to keep in mind. Oh, it looks like ES just wicked over the anchored VWAP there. Okay, I'll post this chart and let you go.
Yeah, I just posted it. What I see, I don't like it. It looks weak to me. It broke the trend line. It has a, it's not a defined head and shoulders, but I drew it in there so you can see the head and shoulders that I see. I think it needs to hold right there at that line, that bottom line that I posted, or it's gonna pull back some. I don't like it for a long right now. Just my eyes tell me that it's weak. It wants to pull back a little bit. But if it holds that line long enough and sits there long enough, it could, take off again. But for me, I'm not a player long on it.
Okay. My drawing tool was behaving super strange, but I just drew a very, very poor representation of the head and shoulders as well. Yeah, I will say that this looks like a very good short potential down into the at least middle 140s, if not upper 130s.
Sorry, Cedar, I got distracted for a minute because of, I got a message, business message that just came in while you were talking. You think it's short as well?
Oh yeah, it's
Possibly.
it's
Okay.
I mean, unless the overall market just rips, like all of a sudden we get a May rate cut, which is looking less and less likely at this point. And we do have FOMC meeting minutes, but looking at Powell's tone with the FOMC presser, it was fairly dovish. And then the Friday that we were closed for Good Friday, it was not dovish. It was, I wouldn't call it necessarily hawkish, but it was not a positive speech like the one on FOMC is. So I'm curious to see what the language is actually in the meeting minutes on Wednesday at 2 p.m. That and data coming out Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. should give us some market direction. And I think a lot of it will probably pretty heavily impact AMD and NVIDIA. All right, let's see our next.
Gonna go up here. I guess BA.
Boeing. Poor Boeing.
Yeah.
I will
You hate that one, don't you?
no,
I don't play
actually,
it, you hate it.
I actually have traded it quite a bit. I am dead in a position right now because of all the mechanical things that they're blaming on the manufacturer, which I would like to mention that a plane that was manufactured in 1995 has probably had a couple mechanics touch it since it was manufactured. A plane that had a wheel fall off. They changed their tires. Trying to think, I knew what the stats were. It's like every 4 months. It's maybe even less than that. There's a little more going on than the manufacturer stuff. However, the news has been so bad on it. It's dead right now. I hope I have to stop drawing lines.
You know, I just brought up my chart and I have a line drawn that stopped on it, and I called this short back in September at around $260.
Nice.
And I'm looking at the reason why is because I have this trend line that's still there. I'm going to put it there really quick. Maybe we talked about it here. I don't know. But I remember this distinctly.
That's why we're happy
I
it's
said,
all
"Oh, no."
recorded, because we don't remember anything. It's all marked, all written down. Volume point of controls 20441. The monthly is really clear. Yeah, I think we did. I think we had that same upper trend line.
Yeah, it was like you could see it dead to rights. It was a short. I mean, there was no mistaking it was a short. I'm just going to look here for a second. It looks like it wants to find support right here, though. So, but give me just 1 second. I want to check something.
The 180 level is actually really strong on Boeing. But yeah, I just posted my weekly chart, so I'll wait for your commentary.
I think that we called this. I think we talked about this in Lunch and Learn, because I don't see where I called it short. But I know I did, and maybe it was here. I don't know. But there's nothing, I don't have any proof that I did. So.
Oh, it doesn't matter. That's the good news. We know what we know.
Okay, so anyways, back to what we were just talking about. I would buy it right here and set stops under 175. For me, it's really simple. I gotta get rid of all these lines that are here.
The thing that I don't like about it is that once we lost the trend line, if you look in the Lunch and Learn thread, once we lost this bottom trend line, that the first attachment was back in September 22. Next one was October 23. So those fall breakdowns. Once we lost that trend line, I'm on weekly, March 11th. We back tested it and we have not been able to recapture it. So that right there, if it were not for this high time frame trend line not being recaptured, I would like the level, the 180-ish level, the 178 to 180. It's worrying me a little here. There's also a...
Well, you know, the reason why I like it, because the risk reward is there.
Yeah.
Because you have a defined stop loss. And I'm going to post that chart here, the weekly that I'm looking at right now. And the reason why I think that, and there's really not a whole lot of analysis that goes into this. It's only that there's a really good bottom trend line. I mean, not a trend line, sorry, support line that goes back quite a ways. How far back does that go? It goes back to October of 2023. And really, well, that's where it held. It came back up through.
This fall right
line's...
now is like right now, though, in this 30-minute candle. No, maybe not 30-minute. Let's see. Yeah, it's in this 30-minute candle. Whoa, look at that sell volume. There has to be news. It has to be.
Yeah, for me, I'd set stops pretty tight. Like I said, 175. So if you're buying now and holding and seeing what it does, you're not going to lose much because there's a really nearby support break there that you can just get out of.
Here's the news. Boeing reportedly under investigation by the FAA over alleged claims by whistleblower about 787 Dreamliner defects. 10:25 a.m. Mountain Standard, which is my time. So 1 minute ago, that just posted. So that explains that. That's a news candle. Known information, but dropped by the news. Okay.
Going over to the. It's still holding though. I mean, if you look at that candle, I
Oh
went
yeah,
back to the
it's
daily
halfway.
candle.
Gave back half of
And-
that sell already. Yep.
Yep, it came right back above that line that I have drawn. So I mean, what was the low today?
177 and
Low
some
today.
change.
Yeah, so I mean, 175 is a really good a stop loss mark. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Underneath the 200-day moving average, I can't touch it. Once it recaptures the, oh, that's on the weekly though. Hold on, let's double check. It's under everything on the daily. If it recaptures the 200 on the weekly, I might be interested in it. There's a no fly order. I can't think of the name of it. Been issued by Iran for 3:30 a.m. Eastern Standard tomorrow morning, which happened 2 days before Russia invaded Ukraine. Not saying that that's the same, but saying that those don't typically get ordered. And I don't know. I'm gonna sit tight and watch this market, but I have to stay away from Boeing for right now. But I actually do
Alright.
love trading Boeing. Most of the time, it's extremely profitable for me.
And the last one, Tesla.
Tag you're it.
Oh, am I? Okay. Tesla. Well, I look at this all the time, so I have to look at it right now because it's one that I comment on constantly. I'm actually in no plays right now on it, but I still think it's weak. I think that if it closes below 175 today, that it's probably going to head back down tomorrow. I won't give any opinions on long term yet because I still think it's weak. So I think that if it closes under 175 today, it's going to head down tomorrow, and I think that'll be the top for it. And it's going to start running back down again. I think I called the bounce on this at 160 the other day, and it hit almost dead on it. What did it get down to that day?
Oh, I can see the 160. Yep, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, it was pretty simple. Under 160, it's hurting, but it bounced right off it on a really good bounce, and here we got all the way back up today to 179. That's a pretty big move in 3 days, but I think it's not going to last long. I think if it closes under 175, we're heading back down to at least 160 again to see what happens there. At some point, Tesla's going to find its footing. I just don't know where or when.
Don't know when exactly. I just posted a daily chart on it. It's messy, and there's issues with what is happening with X and Elon in Brazil, which bleeds over to something like Tesla as owner of both. And Chinese delivery reports were off. We've got, when is earnings? Earnings April 23rd. So earnings are 2 weeks out. Potential with earnings 2 weeks out with all the terrible news for a short squeeze. Our volume point of control, if we include all of 2023 into current day, is 193.68. So just as a mean reversion trade potential, I'd be looking at on the daily we can close above 172.85, which we're above right now. I would be targeting first PT at 182.77, which is the 50 daily moving average, but overall earnings run up. I don't trade earnings, but a run up to as a mean reversion trade to the 190 level. Because if it gets squeezy, if we get the gamma squeeze that I think it has a potential after we unwind the news we have to unwind this week, up, this could catch fire. I may put it back on my keep watch charts rather than just some alerts set.
And I think we covered everything in just about 30 minutes on the money.
Woohoo, that was perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, there's a lot of times we end up redoing some of these names like Tesla, and we love to see new names. So if you've got new names, there was something that BCF put out last week that I was like, oh, I forgot about it. And in 3 days, it was up 14% on commons. So we love to see those. My fault for missing it, but definitely make sure you're giving us the tickers that you're looking at, because as a community, we're all trading, hopefully helping each other grow and helping you learn about charting. And whether it's from staff or from members, we love to see your charts. So, posting your charts in Market Talk and letting us have a conversation about, what we're looking at, and helping you learn through the whole week is also there. It's not just this one, we wanted to have a highlighted time that we could talk about it. So that's why we started doing this lunch and learn. I think we've been doing it like 15 months now. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. And when I first started recording it, we've been doing it a long time. And the goal is instruction. So hoping you guys are enjoying it and learning something.
Yeah, I mean, even if you post a chart and you want somebody to critique it, don't be embarrassed, because you should have seen my charts 30 years ago, what they looked like.
Right.
It could have been a 4-year-old left-hander trying to draw the trend line. So, if you're learning and you want some advice on how you're drawing your trend lines, how you're looking at your supports and stuff like that,
And that really is how we
send
learn.
us a chart
Yeah.
and we'll comment on it.
And the goal is, if you're doing it well, we're going to say you're doing it well. It's not it's going to be a criticism of like, oh, it's terrible. We'll talk about why. And it's not just Thor and I, of course, it's all of the staff. So if you have questions about charts, there are no dumb questions. There are no, hey, what do you guys think of this? We're all here to learn from each other. I learn stuff from the other analysts. They learn from me. Like, we're all here to grow together as a community. So the term that I like is fail forward fast, FFF, if you haven't heard me say that one before. And the other one that I'm going to put out as a closing, I don't do quotes a lot on these, but Cruz and I were talking earlier, and talking about the knife catch potential of when is the bottom in this thing. And I said, well, the first mouse doesn't get the cheese, the second mouse does. So knife catches.
Yeah. I always kind of, because I play a lot of golf, and I think about golf all the time. It's my passion. But it kind of goes to, the other day I was playing with a couple of buddies, and this guy wanted to join us. He wasn't a member at our club, but they let him on. He must have knew somebody. But they asked us if he could play with us, and I said sure. And my buddy Chuck said, Chris, we don't want to play with this guy. Have you seen him hit the ball? And I said, yeah, I saw him on the range. He's probably a 25 handicap. He goes, you want to deal with that all day? And I said, yeah, why not? I remember when I was a 30 handicapper.
Exactly.
Everybody has to start somewhere, and people played with me. So I kind of shut him down and said, no, of course we'll play with him. If he's bad, he's bad. Just maybe we can help him.
Exactly.
But the same thing goes with charts. It takes a while to get things, and some people are better than you at charts. Some people aren't. The people that are better than you, let them help you. So for me, if you want me to look at a chart, you want me to critique it for you, I'll do it.
That reminds me of a business saying. I actually am glad you brought that up. So you want to be surrounded by your peers, right? You want to work in a competitive environment where you have other people who are on par with you, but you also want to find people who are better than you to learn from and people who are worse than you to teach. And if anything sums up kind of what I think Bull Trades is and it continues to grow into, that's it. Find people to help and
Exactly.
find people to learn from. And then, we've got the consistent community. I love
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I always wanted to be around better players, and I always wanted to be around, in business, I wanted to be around people that were good. Because you don't get good learning from bad people, because you're gonna learn enough from bad stuff that you do.
Yeah.
So it's always good to surround yourself with, people that are good or really good, in every aspect in life, in
Well,
general.
and because if you're around people who are better than you and they tolerate you being not as good as them, the flip side is returning that to the people who have not figured things out quite as well as you. So yeah, it's that balance that you're talking about. I love it.
Exactly,
Awesome.
exactly.
Well, I
Because the
have
guys that aren't gonna help
chickens
you or
going in the
better, those,
background. Can
you
you?
wanna stay away from them anyways because they're toxic, but,
Yeah, but there is that. Can you hear
yeah.
the chickens in the background, Thor? Actually, the
No,
peacock.
I can't
The
because I got traffic running by
Okay,
my
well
house
that's
right
good.
now.
It'll probably be on the recording. The peacock's involved too. There's some kind of ruckus happening outside. So I'm going to end the recording now because there's just no reason to have that going on. All right. Well, good to talk with you as
Yeah,
always. We'll see you this time next week. And occasionally I might try to sneak you onto voice with me, but I'll take the once a week if it's all I get.
by the way, everybody, please fill out the monthly. It's how the other guys get paid here. Um, it's how they get recognition. So if you like what they're doing for you and they're helping you, please put it down on the monthly. Even if you don't fill out the rest of the monthly, at least
Voting for staff.
fill
Yeah,
out that part of it. I mean, I can't tell you how much that monthly helps us, and we're not getting as many as we should this month, and it's really kind of discouraging because we've had a lot better turnout with the people that are filling it out than we are right now going into the last day.
for
That's
sure.
going to be active. So please do it
We'll
because
we'll start the
it really won't take
get out
very
and
long
vote
and it really
drive
helps.
with Bull Trades. Get out and vote, then be in the habit.
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't benefit Cedar and I,
At all.
and you
Yep.
can see why we push so hard to have you do it because it really does. It really is important. I mean, it does mean something to us, but what I mean
The feedback is
is
important
it's
to
not
us.
as important to us as it is to them. Um, and the overall health of BT also helps us. But when I'm talking about filling out, I mean fill it out for at least for them so that they can get the recognition for the hard work that they put in because it really is important.
Yep, absolutely.
And on that note, Cedar, I will see you next week. And of course, we'll be talking daily. So
Sounds good.
there's that.
All right. Thanks, Thor.
Thanks, guys.